Hello there, my name is Adam. I'm a 3D artist and illustrator, and today I'm going to show you how to make a isometric room. So, first is first, go here to edit, go to preferences, go to key mapping, so here, and turn on tab for pie menu, and extra shading pie menu. Go here to inputs, turn on emulate 3-button mouse, then go to add-ons, search up extra, mesh objects, and then search up loop. And there you go. Turn on mesh loop tools. There we go. And once you marked the little check on the thing, so once you check the marks, you go over here and you say save profile. I'll close it up because I already have that saved. The other thing you need to do is N, and I'm going to turn this on. Move it to over here, and you'll see that it's detecting my button presses. Okay, let's just activate that. And now we can get started. Shift A, and we add an image, reference image, uncheck this here, go over here, go to where you have the image reference, mine is currently in downloads and in room, and we click on this one that says gaming room. Load reference, select it, rotate it in the x-axis 90, G, constraint to X, and move it to the side. Once we have this here, we have our reference. Now, what we have to do with this part here, we go into Edit, Face Selection, select these 3 faces here, delete, Faces, and once we have this here, we go back into Object Mode, and we can add a Solidify modifier to this. So let's go over here to Solidify, and we change this to 0.09. Let's see how that looks. Turn on even thickness, and that should look pretty good. At least pretty similar to the reference in thickness. Another thing is we have to get the right size for this, so I'm just going to look at this reference and see that if the room is at the right size. And it seems to be slightly bigger. We don't apply the modifier yet. We go into face selection, or rather we go into edit, face selection, select this face, and we do G, constraint to the x-axis, move it out, click on this one as well, G, constraint to the y-axis a little bit. There we go. We just need to make the room a little bigger. Go back into object mode, and now we can apply the modifier. Next, we have to make this couch here. So let's just make the couch, Shift A, mesh, and we do a cube. Scale it down on the Z-axis, make it pretty flat. And we're trying to make this here. So scale it down, and let's try to get it into place. This thing right here is a square, but it extends outwards this way. So what we have to do is press 7, G, put it into place, scale it up a little bit to about there, G, constraint to Z, make sure it's not clipping with the floor, and there we go. We have this edge here. Of course, we can move it more forward, so GY, to about here, just so it's disconnected from the wall. And we have this. The next thing we have to do is make the other parts of the couch, so this part. So what we do is we go into edit mode, face selection, select this face, extrude this way to about here. Make sure there's a separation there. Click on this face, extrude outwards to about here. Make sure we have the correct spacing. So move it slightly and see that there's a correct spacing here. So let's just do G, constraint to Y, and move it in a little bit. Perfect. The next thing we gotta do is add the armrest and the back part. To do that, we do Control R, and we add a loop right here on this. And we add another loop here on this angle, just like this. And we add one more here. Control R. About there. Then what we do is we go into the face selection tool, we select these, and extrude them upwards. Try to get the same height that we have here. So let's just go into the angle, extrude, and it'll automatically be in the z-axis. So I'm going to extrude it up to about there for the armrest. We can always make it a little higher, but I'd like it there. And then we have to make this back part of it. So we deselect everything. We select this. And we extrude this part upwards a little bit to about here. And now we add these pillows. So to add those pillows, we have to deselect everything. Shift A, cube, scale it down, press 7, move over here, G, try to put it in place. We can scale it up a little bit, try to get the size of the pillows. GZ, move it down. There we go. If it's clipping a little bit, it doesn't really matter. GZ. We can just move it upwards. And let's see, is that the correct scale? No, it's not. We can just go into edit mode, X-ray, vertice selection. We select these vertices, G, constraint to Y. And let's make it pretty thin to about there. In any case, you can always go back into edit mode on this, face selection, select, turn off X-ray temporarily. Select these faces here, and you can move them in. Make sure to deselect the face we selected there. Let's do GY. Move these in a little bit, at least to about there. And now we can just select this GY and connect it to the backrest of the couch. We go into edit mode again, X-ray, vertice selection, select these two top ones, G, constraint to Z, move it up, and it should be the same height, if only a little taller. So let's go into this angle, G, Z, there we go. Only slightly taller than the actual one. Then what we want to do is extend it up to there, to the halfway point. So let's select these vertices here, G, X, move it up to about there, and let me see. Yeah, that seems correct. We're supposed to get the same distance here, so G, X, move a little bit, go back into this, Shift D, constraint to X, and move it into its spot about there. G, X, move it to there, and we get a perfect spacing with the two pillows. Turn off X-ray. Remember to select all of these, then go over here to modifier, click on add modifier, and add a bevel modifier. And change this to 0.02. That's just to round off the edges a little bit because it was a bit too sharp in my opinion. Alright, back to what we were doing. Press 7, zoom out, then just do Shift D, constrain to the Y-axis, rotate in the Z-axis, 90, there we go, and now we just put these pillows in place. Hold Shift if you need to. Now we do Shift D, constrain to the Y-axis, put Shift there, and we add one more, Shift D, and we put it about there. And if we look at the reference, yeah, there's supposed to be 3 pillows. We just select all 3 of these, Control J, and we scale them in the Y-axis a little bit, GY, and this makes it so they fit perfectly. And the best part, we can just select this, this, and this, Control J, and join all the pillows to make them fit perfect. Alright, and that should be the couch all done. Obviously, you can always just go into here, edit mode, face selection, select these faces, then just do G, constrain to X, and move them in slightly just to make this thinner. There we go, because it was a bit too thick in my opinion. And there, we can just deselect, and we can select both of these, G, X, move them in a little bit, and there. And that should be our couch all done. Now let's make the coffee table. Let's do Shift A, mesh, and plane. Scale the plane down, and we're trying to get a rectangle that reaches a little bit here and the edge of this couch here. So let's go into 7, G, try to move it somewhat into place and spacing it out like this. Go into edit mode, vertice selection, select these vertices, G, constraint to X, and move them to about there. Let me check real quick to see that that's correct. No, it is not. It goes outer a little bit more. So 7, G, X, and it expands to about there. GX, and it goes far away from this part. I'm assuming it's like that. Yes, it is. 7, go into object mode again. G, constrain to the Z axis, move it down, and let's try to get the height of the table. It seems to be slightly lower than the couch, so we can just press 1, G, Z, and move it to about the same height, just so it's not very weird. Alright, now if you want, you can extrude it. Edit mode, face selection. We select the face on the top, and let's just extrude it slightly. So extrude, and you can hold shift to make it pretty thin to about there. And now we add the legs. That should be pretty simple. Just press 7, Control, go back into edit mode on this, Control R, and make it pretty thin to about there. Control R again, and let's add one right here. Staying in edit mode, just move downwards, face selection, select that face, go to the other one. Then all we have to do is press 1 and just extrude downwards until we meet the bottom of the couch, which should be about there. Perfect. And that should be the legs for the table. That's all we need to do. That's our coffee table done. We can just right click, shade smooth, go over here, go to normals, and we fix the normals. You can shade smooth these as well. And we have to add a bevel modifier to this. Modifier, bevel, and do 0.02. And now it has a bevel modifier to it. It makes it look a little rounded off. The next thing we have to do is make this little entertainment center here with all the things. So we just have to do the same thing again. Shift A, mesh, and let's use a plane. Try to get the table shape right here. Obviously, we're missing one detail to get the right distance, but we can get the right shape pretty easily. So the measurements we're going to use are basically 7. Let's scale it down. And we're going to just cut it off at like right here on the couch and right here. So let's go into edit mode, vertice selection, G, and let's put it right at the edge there. G, constrain to the y-axis, and put it somewhere around there. Perfect. But just to get it very accurately, let me just scale it into the x-axis real quick to make it thin.